Hey OV Tribe, thanks for joining us today. We are out on a quick backpacking trip and we all brought a little bit different things. So we wanted to unload our bags, give you different ideas for what you might take if you were doing your own backpacking trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna unload my bag and then we're gonna make our way down the line and give you some different ideas. So for me, I put all of my food right here in the hood of my bag, and I like to eat Mountain Houses for dinner, and then I change it up for some of my other meals. So I had oatmeal with some protein mixed into it and just some meal bars and some things like that. So that was what was in my hood. As I come into, I'm actually gonna go in through the side on the Rhyolite. So I had a Rhyolite 60-liter pack. It's a little bit bigger, but we're carrying a little bit of camera gear. So I could have made do with a little bit less. But clothing-wise, I brought a down jacket, as well as some thermals and an extra shirt. And then I have my cook system here. Uses gas and has a little stove in there. And then now we're gonna get into more of my sleep system. So I brought a double person hammock with our whoopee sling and strap suspension. I have our tarp, a 6-sided chief tarp. I do have a pillow as well. And then I was using I was using the hammock on a diagonal lay. So I've got both an airy and our down top quilt prototype that you'll probably see later on this year. So that's what I was using there. Of course, I've got a few other trinkets such as headlamps. I brought gloves and a beanie. And then I'll talk about the last thing here is I have a gravity feed water filtration system that plugs straight into my Camelback on this side. So I can quickly gravity feed water into my backpack. And that's what most of us use for water filtration on this trip. So that was my loadout. We'll go ahead and go down the line.
All right, and for me, I have the 45-liter pack. I'm not quite as organized as Tayson. I have a down shirt. This is very light, not as heavy as a jacket, but it's a nice little shirt to sleep in. I also have long underwear and a merino wool hooded half-zip shirt that I sleep in as well. This is good for around camp. I brought a cook system, so just a 1-liter pot, an MSR pocket rocket, and that's about it for that. Some other snacks, jerky. I went with the Mountain House as well. First aid kit. Little down boots, little down booties around camp. These are nice when it's a little bit colder out. I also went with a buff. I didn't bring a winter hat, but the buff can double as a winter hat, balaclava, whatever, balaclava. And then for my sleep system, I went a little bit different. I went with our fast and light system for the tent. It is just the fly, ground sheet, and the poles and stakes. I didn't necessarily need this, but I just wanted to try this system out. It worked good for me. As for the bag, I went with the Summit 20. This is our newest Summit 20 with the anti-snag YKK zipper and our sleeping pad. I went with the long wide model. Didn't necessarily need to do the long wide model, but since we were just going for one night, I wanted a little extra space and comfort. And that is about it for mine. I don't really like to use the stuff sacks. I just shove it all in here. I think personally it saves a little bit more space. And I also went with 2 liters of water, and we're right here by a stream, so water wasn't really a problem, as sometimes it is in the desert. That's about it for me.
Cool. So for mine, I was also using the 45-liter Rhyolite pack. And within that, I'll just start with some of my clothing. Down socks, which I wore to bed. I was using the Mummy Pod sleep system. And the weakness on the Mummy Pod, if it has one, is if you don't set it up perfect, sometimes there'll be a draft by the feet. So this was just in case. My feet ended up being really warm anyway, but down socks. I had some camera equipment that I brought. I'm shooting on the Sony a6300, which is just a small camera, and with a Rode VideoMic Pro. I brought a pot to cook my food in, and I mooched off of these guys' stoves, so I didn't bring a stove. Just merino wool socks. It's a cheaper down jacket. It's actually not down, it's synthetic. Then my long thermal underwear. I brought a beanie just to keep my head warm, since I am using the Mummy Pod sleep system, just because it doesn't have a hood when you're using it on the hammock. I brought, like Tayson, I slept in a hammock. I brought the single plus hammock, so that was plenty long. How long is that? Like,
it's 10 foot long,
10 foot long. So that was
a bit wider, about 4.75 feet wide, so almost 5 feet wide.
Yeah, plenty of space. Bought the inflatable pillow. And the main part of my sleep system, this is the 15-degree Mummy Pod. That's the down version. So it's the storm loft insulation. And it only got down to about low 30s, 33 tonight. So this was actually overkill. I had to unzip it for part of the night because I was sweating. And you don't want that. So that was the main thing. Just a fleece. And I brought a tarp that I didn't end up using. This is the Chief 6-sided tarp, and I didn't end up using that. So as far as food, I got just some sort of off-brand generic dehydrated meals from Walmart, and for snacks, just Fritos, Flaming Hot Cheetos, which are great, and Oreos. So that was my setup.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had Fritos all around the camp, so
I was baiting in the animals.
So you can see we've all run a little bit different setups. They all worked really good for each of us. We all got to try out some new things, as well as just maybe even some different ways to pack to save a little bit of weight. If you have further questions, make sure to reach out to us at support@Revitals. Dave here will be able to answer any questions. He's got a ton of experience. And also, if you're just interested in going on a trip and want a little bit more help, go to @Revitals/checklist. That's going to get you a checklist of gear to bring and also food options to bring. So we use mountain houses, a few things like that. You could cut down on some costs by going more with the dehydrated meal, and we cover that in some of our other videos, or if you go grab that checklist. So thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next video.